توسوس به نفسه ونحن أقرب إليه من حبل الوريد إذ يتلقى المتلقيان عن اليمين وعن الشمال قعيد ما يلفظ من قول إلا لديه رقيب عتيد وجاءت سكرة الموت بالحق ذلك ما كنت منه تحيد ونفخ في الصور ذلك يوم الوعيد وجاءت كل نفس معها سائق وشهيد لقد كنت في غفلة من هذا فكشفنا عنك غطاءك فبصرك اليوم حديد وقال قرينه هذا ما لدي عتيد ألقيا في جهنم كل كفار عنيد مناع للخير معتد مريب الذي جعل مع الله إلها آخر فألقياه في العذاب الشديد قال قرينه ربنا ما أطغيته ولكن كان في ضلال بعيد قال لا تختصموا لدي وقد قدمت إليكم بالوعيد ما يبدل القول لدي وما أنا بظلام للعبيد يوم نقول لجهنم هل امتلأت وتقول هل من مزيد وأزلفت الجنة للمتقين غير بعيد هذا ما توعدون لكل أواب حفيظ من خشي الرحمن بالغيب وجاء بقلب منيب ادخلوها بسلام ذلك يوم الخلود لهم ما يشاءون فيها ولدينا مزيد صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you. Hamza, don't forget, Hamza he knows 13 Jews from the Quran. MashaAllah. And he picked this surah, he picked up this surah. So, Surah Al-Qaf.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والتين وزيتون وطور سينين وهذا بلد الأمين وقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم ثم رددناه أسفل سافلين إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات فلهم أجر غير ممنون فما يكذبك بعد بالدين أليس الله بأحكم الحاكمين صدق الله العظيم.
Thank you. They're scary, really. So, heart is like, alhamdulillah. Me too, in the first time. So now, inshallah, I invite my dear brother and Dr. Muhammad Zubair to give us a lecture. You can just give this one is much better.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters in Islam. So, आज
honored to be here in front of you. Imam asked me to speak few things, at least how I see the importance of higher education, okay, especially for our youth. And I am confident, I am sure that there are many in the audience over here who are better than I am in this subject here. You know, I am honored to stand in front of you and be in your company. And I'm humbled to be in the presence of my brother Imams over here, who have gotten their Islamic education from premier institutions in the world, Al-Azhar, Medina, and other places. So I'm honored to be in their company, and of course, I always learn a lot from our Imam. And I'm here, just like you, as a participant, to come and learn from my brothers here. And that's why I'm trying to keep my things as brief as possible. The education, when you look at the education, if you were to go back, and my brothers are going to speak a lot more about from the Islamic perspective, the first command that came was nothing but Iqra, which is nothing but read, to our Prophet. And our Prophet, when he said, I cannot read, so he was a person who was not literate in a sense that he could not read and write, but he was not ignorant. Okay. So, but what we are trying to do ourselves nowadays that you see is nothing but walking towards the jahiliyyah, the ignorance, and we are not trying to be illiterate, but we are trying to be ignorant. Okay, so I would like to kind of share my thoughts with you on that as we go forward with it. Okay, and before I kind of get into this kind of, okay, this is how much you would earn, that's how much you would earn, let's just go back to the Islamic. I mean, just take that word read. If you want to look at it from a broader context, it is to kind of leave the world of ignorance and try to look around you, try to learn and adapt and do and be better at what you do, be the best. I think that's what you could take that, the read word as, okay, read word as. And that's exactly what the Muslims in the early period, they practiced, so they took that command that God gave, Allah gave. And that command that Allah gave applies both to the humankind or to the mankind, which is not male or female sort of thing. So it's a combined message to both male as well as female. So we need as much education for our male children, for our sons, as much as we need for our daughters. So we need, for example, the women scientists, we need women doctors, we need women lawyers, we need women social workers, we need women bankers, and we need them also. It's not just the man, but if you go back and take a look at what's happening recently in the Nigeria, abducting about 100 the girls from the school and trying to, in the past, they have slit their throats and all. The reason is their crime is that they are going to get the education. So when Allah says in the command to the mankind, to both male and female, that learn, read, that's a command. Who are these people to hijack Islam and go against the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say that's in the name of Islam? I think my brothers can speak to that more than I can. Okay, I'll leave that to them. But coming back to this one, see, when Muslims practice that, read Islam, so everything flourished. The physics, astronomy, chemistry, algebra, medicine, and many of the tools that the surgeons use today were the ones that were developed by Muslims about almost 1,000 years ago. Almost about, not exactly 1,000, about 1,000 or 1,100 years ago. So of course, they are adapted, modified, but nonetheless, it's exactly that. People do say that in the Middle East at that time, they were doing surgeries on the table, whereas in the Europe, and now we can see that kind of flip-flop, was they were practicing medicine with nothing but trying to do the voodoo magic and do all those things and through the bloodletting and all. But unfortunately, that's what we see nowadays. In the Muslim world, people are bloodletting to drive the spirits away, are doing all that, whereas all the surgical and great inventions are happening in the West. It's a kind of flip-flop. So what happened? How did we get over here? I mean, see, it took time, and of course, history is filled with examples where people have moved away from the value system. See, Islam gives us the value system. When we move away from the value system, of course, nothing but the degradation of the society happens and the downward spiral basically begins, and nothing but you have to kind of break out that spiral and move up. And that's the responsibility that on the shoulders of youth over here today is to be the best and try to reclaim the glory that we've had. Okay, be the best in what you do. Be a best doctor, be a best engineer, be a best imam, okay, be a best accountant. Do whatever that you do, be best at that. People do notice that. Okay. See, I come from India. Okay, and in India, if you look at it, the highest Muslim population is in Indonesia. Okay, the next in terms of the total number of Muslims in any given country is India, not Pakistan or Bangladesh. They come next. Okay? But India is not an Islamic country, it's not a Muslim country, it's a Hindu country. So about 75 to 80% are Hindus, the rest are Muslims, and there are a few Christians and other Jains and other religious peoples, okay? People belonging to other religions. So, and I can relate to some of the things that you go through over here. It's the sense of belonging, identity. You don't have to lose the identity of being a Muslim just to be in the mainstream over here. See, growing up in India, I had to constantly struggle against that. Although my friends, they just look like me, their names are different and their practice of religion is different. But lots of things that we share in common, but it was a constant struggle to be who I am. Okay? And I'm sure that my children, I have 3 boys here, they are going through the same thing that I went through. And I do know that that you may look like the mainstream people over here. I think you'll go through the same struggle, but nonetheless, stick to your identity. That's very important. When you lose your identity, you lose yourself, and then you move away. Okay, and that's where the downward spiral basically begins. So be proud of who you are. Go back to your history. You spend about 7 hours a day on Facebook or on other media, social media, or on the net. Try to go and look at, there is so much information about the greatness of the Muslim contribution to the science and society. A lot of it is over there. And so try to go back and see. All the advances that you see, even in the architecture that you see. Okay, some of the biggest architectural wonders that you find in the world, they were nothing but inspired by Muslims for others, and the Muslims built those things. Okay, so that's what you see. So don't try to be shy, and be proud of who you are, and do the best. Okay, do the best. And now let's kind of come back to today's world. My friends are going to talk about why it is so important spiritually that you had to be Muslim, but again at the same time, now we want to make our stand here in this country, and we should be proud of who we are. And let's take a look at the value of education, because this is the thing that touches our life on a daily basis. Can I really afford this? Or can I afford to send my children to education, to good schools or not? Can I afford to buy on my car? Can I afford to buy them clothes? Or would I have food on my table or not? So let's kind of look at that sort of a day-to-day drives that we face, how the education plays a part there. Okay. Now, topmost thing that's on the minds of anyone who goes through the education or the parents is, like, what sort of a lifestyle would my son or daughter enjoy? Okay. So when I basically talk to lots of parents who come to the campus to talk about the majors that their children should really go, there are 2 things. One is, of course, follow the passion. Okay. Follow what you want to do, then you become the best in that. Okay. But at the same time, there is also a reality of, okay, I want to get my degree, let's say in history, for example. Not that I'm saying that people really don't get jobs with that, but when you look at the demand for these sort of professions to the other professions, that you can think about it. So there are lots of graduates, but there are not many jobs. So what happens when you have abundant supply and less of a demand? Your salary levels basically go down. See, that's nothing but the pure economics. Okay, when things become scarce, they acquire more value. Okay, that's the bottom line. And now, high school education, beyond high school is a 2-year degree that you get from going to the community college. And from beyond that is 4 years is at least the minimum to get an undergraduate degree. And then you can go and do a master's, and beyond that, a PhD. Okay. So now a high school degree, if you